the second tutorial on graph sketching. This one will use the intercept method. Before we start with this one, it's important to understand about what values the y-intercept will have. And basically the y-intercept occurs at any point along the y-axis, hence the name y-intercept. And you'll notice that regardless of what point we have, as your graph cuts this line, the x value of that will always be 0. Okay, so it doesn't matter where it cuts along there, the x value is always 0. And hence we can say the y-intercept occurs when x equals 0. Similarly, we can actually have for the x-intercept, and the x-intercept, the x-intercept is simply what's going to be the value as the graph cuts the x-axis. And regardless of where it cuts across this axis, the x-intercept will have a y value of 0. That is, when we write it, it'll be, say, if it cuts at this point, it'll be 3, 0. Or if it's at this point, it might be -5, 0. Wherever our graph happens to cut through this line, though, through the x-axis, the value of y will always be 0. Now, understanding that, we can move on and solve this question. So, the first thing we're going to do is find the y-intercept. So I'll just remove that. So our y-intercept, and this occurs when x equals 0. So we're going to take our equation, which is 5y minus 2x equals 12, and we're going to replace the value of x with 0, and we'll see where the y-intercept occurs. So rewriting it with 0 replacing the x, that means this term here now drops out completely, because 2 times 0 will give us 0. So it leaves us with 5y equals 12, and bringing the 5 over to the other side, obviously by dividing, we'll have our y-intercept as 12 on 5, and I'll mark that in up here. So 12 on 5 is a bit over, or a bit under 2.5. It might help you to actually think of this in terms of a decimal. Now we're going to do a similar thing. This time we're going to find the x-intercept. And as has been pointed out already, the x-intercept occurs when y equals 0. So we rewrite our equation. But this time, we'll replace the value of y with 0 in order to determine what happens, or what value x has at that point. Again, that term now drops out because 5 times 0 is 0. So that will disappear, and it just leaves us with this negative 2x equals 12. And bringing the negative 2 over the other side, give us 12 on negative 2 or negative 6, and we can mark that one then up here. So our x-intercept is over at negative 6, and there's that. So now we can join those two lines and write our equation in next to it. And we're done.